this podcast, the Heidelcast.
It's a Heidel minicast. And now, Scott Clark.
How did Calvin think the supper should be administered?
If the Heidelcast helps you, won't you help us keep it going? Please make the coffer clink by clicking on the PayPal link or by sending a check to Heidelberg Reformation Association, 1637 East Valley Parkway, number 391, Escondido, California, 92027.
Maybe you are shy. Maybe you're an introvert. But you'd like people to know about the Heidelberg Reformation Association, the Heidel blog, and the Heidelcast. What should you do? Well, I've got an idea. Go to heidelblog.net/shop, S-H-O-P. Click on that and look around at the stuff there. There's all kinds of stuff. Hoodies, T-shirts, dog dishes, clothes for infants, water bottles. I just tried out here, ordered and paid for, by the way, out of my own pocket, of the water bottle made by Camelback. It's clear, and it's got the beautiful Heidelcast logo on it, and I've been using that. It's great. So there's all kinds of stuff there, and we don't make anything off of this. I'm not even sure we're covering our costs, but it's fun, and it's a great way to let people know that you listen to and benefit from the Heidel blog, the Heidelcast, and the work of the Heidelberg Reformation Association. So have fun.
The Heidelcast.
I thought it would be interesting, in support of the series,
To nourish and sustain.
to take a look at what Calvin said in the Institutes. Let me see. This is from the Battles edition, which is the modern edition that most of us use most of the time, in English anyway. And this is from Book 4, Chapter 17, sections 43 and 44. Calvin wrote, "But as for the outward ceremony of the action, whether or not the believers take it in their hands or divide it among themselves or severally eat what has been given to each, whether they hand the cup back to the deacon or give it to the next person, whether the bread is leavened or unleavened, the wine red or white, it makes no difference. These things are indifferent and left at the church's discretion. However, it is certain that the practice of the ancient church was for all to take it in their hands. And Christ said, 'Divide it among yourselves.'" That's Luke 22:17 from the Vulgate. The histories narrate that common leavened bread was used before the time of the Roman bishop Alexander, who was the first who delighted in unleavened bread. But I see no reason for this, unless to draw the eyes of the common people to wonderment by a new spectacle, rather than to instruct their minds in sound religion. I ask all who are in the least affected by a zeal for piety, whether they do not clearly see both how much more brightly God's glory shines here, and how much richer sweetness of spiritual consolation comes to believer than in these lifeless and theatrical trifles, which he's talking about the Roman Mass, which serve no purpose other than to deceive the sense of a people stupefied. They call this the holding of the people by religion when they lead them at will, dulled and befooled with superstition. If anyone should like to defend such inventions by appealing to antiquity, I also am not ignorant of how ancient the use of chrism and exsufflation, which I should probably explain, is the action of, and I'm reading from a dictionary, blowing as a form of exorcism to symbolize renunciation of the devil, is in baptism. How soon after the apostolic age the Lord's Supper was corrupted by rust. But this indeed is the stubborn boldness of men, which cannot restrain itself from always trifling and wantoning in God's mysteries. Let us, however, remember that God so esteems obedience to his word that he would have us judge both his angels and the whole world in its light. And these are allusions to 1 Corinthians 6, 2 and 3, and Galatians 1, 8. Calvin continues, "Now, to get rid of this great pile of ceremonies, the supper could have been administered most becomingly were it set before the church very often and at least once a week. First, then, it should begin with public prayers. After this, a sermon should be given. Then, when bread and wine have been placed on the table, the minister should repeat the words of institution of the supper. Next, he should recite the promises which were left to us in it, at the same time excommunicate all who are debarred from it by the Lord's prohibition. Afterward, he should pray that the Lord, with the kindness wherewith he has bestowed this sacred food upon us, also teach and form us to receive it with faith and thankfulness of heart, and inasmuch as we are not so of ourselves, by his mercy, make us worthy of such a feast. But here, either psalms should be sung or something be read, and in becoming order, the believers should partake of the most holy banquet, the ministers breaking the bread and giving the cup. When the supper is finished, there should be an exhortation to sincere faith and confession of faith, to love and behavior worthy of Christians. At the last, thanks should be given and praises sung to God. When these things are ended, the church should be dismissed in peace. And then in the next section he adds, Luke relates in the Acts that this was the practice of the apostolic church when he says that believers, quoting here, continued in the apostles' teaching and fellowship, in the breaking of bread and prayers, close quote. That's Acts 2:42. You can compare that with the Vulgate. Thus, it became the unvarying rule that no meeting of the church should take place without the word, prayers, partaking of the supper, and almsgiving. That this was the established order among the Corinthians also, we can safely infer from Paul. Compare, for example, 1 Corinthians 11:20. And it remained in use for many centuries after.
Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow for more from the Heidelcast, brought to you by Heidelberg Reformation Association.org. Don't forget, when the coin in the coffer clinks, the cost of bandwidth shrinks. Copyright Heidelberg Reformation Association. All rights reserved. This is a Heidel Media production.
To this podcast, the Heidelcast.